bodily parts which
Elusive
play a
being is
role in
crazy.
sexual pleasure.
Boy, I thought they had GoPros on their head. I said, oh, okay. He does seem like he got the little thing up top too.
Every organism in the game of Outside, from bacteria all the way to Homo sapiens, utilizes a set of specialized play styles to overcome the unique challenges of the ecological server in which they play.
Okay.
These play styles are often just as, if not more important to the survival of an organism than its base stats. You can have great stats all around, but if you haven't developed a solid, specialized playstyle to efficiently utilize your greatest abilities and compensate for your biggest weaknesses, then you're likely to burn yourself out quickly rather than make much progress in the game long term. Some playstyles are obvious to us. Wolves are pack hunters.
Yo, who be getting this footage? That's the real question. How I know you never seen this YouTuber?
Sponges are filter feeders.
Send it to me on Discord. They won't let you put it in the chat.
Lions are ambush predators, and so on. Controversy surrounds the behavior of some species, though, as high-level human players in the academia server dispute what exactly constitutes a unique playstyle and whether certain behaviors have been spec'd into with evolution points or have only come about as a byproduct of other evolved behaviors. Little is more hotly debated than human players' well-known behavior of religion. This video will cover the debate surrounding the question of
Alpha God. What kind of book is this?
Whether or not religion is an evolved playstyle which humans need to survive. Rather than arguing for one position over another, we'll simply cover the differing
Is that the name of the YouTube? Hey, we can watch that.
Views within this debate using my special guest Tirzu's signature style of presentation. This is a complex subject, and not even the high-level human mains who propose the arguments we'll discuss hold to very high degrees of certainty about their hypotheses.
Okay.
There's much more to learn before we come to definite conclusions, so let's make sure that we don't grief other players as we explore the subject. Adaptationism. Some players in the academia server think that human players practice religion as an intentional play style, that humans used evolution points to spec into a style of play which helps them gain a survival advantage in the game. Humans are a social species, after all. It might make sense for them to evolve specific playstyles that promote social behaviors which aid in long-term survival. One current high-level player in the academia server who upholds this idea is psychologist Jonathan Haidt.
I ain't never heard of this man a day in my life, not gonna lie.
He's a proponent of the idea that religion is a tool which human players have evolved to create and use to survive.
Ooh, he just said humans create religion to survive. Now, I ain't gonna get too deep into that. Y'all can give me y'all 411 speculation down below, because we just watched a video on the entire Bible summed up. Crazy.
Here's why. Humans are social builds. They tend to opt for co-op play rather than going it alone.
Hold on, what you mean I changed halfway through the video? What you mean?
What Haidt says they build their teams and communities around is shared morals, values, and beliefs. These player groups, which work together to achieve greater things than any solo player ever could, are then naturally selected for as groups rather than as individuals. Haidt's point is that religion drives individual players.
Hey, listen, MJ, there's a very specific term. If you can't beat them, join them. You know what I'm saying?
To cooperate with others in order to form a group of many that acts and is selected for.
I'm trying to go to places that be
Take a look at religion's common features to see how this is done. Group rituals encourage social bonds and build trust between individual players. Creation and founding myths provide a shared sense of origin and identity to the group. Moral laws and commandments give a group a shared sense of what behavior is acceptable within the group and what's not. When these things combine...
This is in Oklahoma? Presented to the people of Oklahoma by Dr. Mike. They just giving out 10 Commandment tablets?
They often serve to provide strict order and justify fierce loyalty to one's group.
You say Griffey is a
that
booty
order
pirate?
and loyalty drives strong cooperation, which allows individual players to act as a single, powerful, cooperative group. We can gain some insight into this subject by taking a look at some non-human builds too, so fortunately for us, Tirzu is here to guide us through that.
Okay, Tirzu.
Up until recently, it was believed that the faith attribute was exclusive to the human build. but it now seems as though a few other factions, particularly those with high intelligence and team-based game plans, may have started unlocking at least a few of the basic branches of the Faith skill tree. The first ability unlocked via leveling the Faith attribute is Funeral Rites, which can mitigate the morale debuffs that are incurred following the death of a party member. Simple rituals like this have been adopted by several factions, including chimpanzees, cetaceans, and perhaps most prominently of all, elephants.
I thought it was going to be bees.
Elephant players have been observed solemnly grouping up around fallen players, sometimes even players of different factions. Sometimes they collect or move remains, or collect things like fruit or flowers to place onto the remains.
That's crazy.
Are these players trying to revive fallen allies? Or are they developing an intelligence level that's high enough to allow them to commune with the devs? Your guess is as good as mine, but one thing's for certain. It'll be fascinating to observe how each faction develops its Faith skill tree. Will elephants spec into perks like holy sites and tithing? Will dolphins unlock the Prophet prestige class? I, for one, can't wait to see. It's currently unknown what happens after finishing a playthrough of the game. The most common belief is that there's hidden post-game content, usually tied to in-game covenants and alignments. But a new game plus mode and permadeath are also widely held beliefs. It's up to each player to decide for themselves what they want to believe about the devs.
This view, adaptationism, justifies the idea that religion is something which social primate builds like humans are built to do. Now, there are several common objections to this view and just as many common defenses against them. The most common objection is probably that this playstyle often drives individuals to act in ways which are detrimental to themselves. There's the sacrifice of resources to elusive beings, the sacrifice of bodily parts which play a role in sexual pleasure.
Boy, I thought they had GoPros on their head. I said, oh, okay. He does seem like he got the little thing up top too. I was about to say, all the people of the religion in here and they fam just got this type of cameraman in there.
And sometimes even the sacrifice of human characters' lives, just to name a few examples. How could this playstyle provide an advantage, some ask? Height offers an answer to this question. Some who have studied the game's mechanics have found support for the idea that groups which demand more costly sacrifices from individual players actually last longer. For example, Richard Sosis, an anthropologist in the Academia server, performed a study of religious as well as secular 19th century communes and found that the groups which demanded more costly sacrifices from individual players actually lasted significantly longer.
That's crazy.
Height says that groups with religious playstyles are also better at demanding sacrifices from individuals since they can appeal to the group's shared mythos or moral system. Still, some aren't convinced that religious playstyles are beneficial to human mains, or that human builds evolved to be religious. There's another view, counter to the last, that we'll explore next.
I think it helps.
Mimetic evolution. Other players in the Academia server have...
Because, like, religion, if you believe you gotta be good to those around you, is just an incentive for everybody to not break up into smaller factions in the game. You know, hey, look at me talking like Tirzu, man.
Proposed another explanation for religious playstyles. That explanation begins with the idea that not all player features, like skills and behavior, have come about because they're helpful to the player. We can't assume that just because religious playstyles exist, that they must be beneficial to players and were spec'd into for the sake of success in the player's campaign. How then could these playstyles arise? This is where memes come in. And no, I definitely don't mean internet memes. In his 1976 book, The Selfish Gene, biologist Richard Dawkins coined the term meme to describe an idea or behavior which spreads through human interaction. A meme may be compared to a gene in that it self-replicates, mutates, and responds to selective pressures. Instead of proliferating within an organism and its ecosystem, though, it proliferates within a culture. The use of a word, for example, is a meme. A word is...
Bro, did y'all hear that Riz was Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year? Listen, that boy Kai got the game in a chokehold right now, boy.
Not material like a gene, but it does effectively reproduce in being used, mutates with continuous use, and responds to the selection pressures of changing cultures. They only depend on a player's use of them for survival. Some players in the Academia server, such as Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett, uphold the idea that religion as we know it is a set of memes. These memes are not necessarily beneficial or harmful to a player's gameplay in this view, but they are largely unnecessary to the success of human players. It's thought that these sets of memes persist not because they give human builds an advantage, but because they themselves get continuously better at driving humans to accept and spread them as they evolve under the selection pressures of human culture.
Now, this is crazy.
Essentially, Dawkins and Dennett's view is that religion isn't best described as a playstyle featured in the evolution of human players, but instead as a bug that uses humans to replicate. Feasibly, a set of memes could be entirely detrimental to the individual players it inhabits, but still be spread to millions and passed down to new generations of players for thousands of years. That is, if that set of memes compels its possessors to pass them on before they die. For example, a meme could exist as the belief that playing co-op with a character of the same gender will result in the loss of all achievements once the campaign is over. Even if that belief is not true and only serves to harm the gameplay of those who want to co-op with same-gender characters, the meme could be passed on indefinitely because it motivates players to spread it out of the fear of losing the game. To give a final illustration, more pernicious memes could be like...
What's crazy about people who be doing them protests like that is like, bruh, ain't being judgmental like a sin too? So you got this sign judging people and telling them, it's the irony, bruh. The irony.
Likened unto viruses. They don't provide an advantage in the game and can even hurt the players they inhabit, yet they're so good at embedding themselves and passing from one player to another that virtually no one goes without getting infected by them. So which one of these hypotheses best describes this feature or bug in the game? Well, this video isn't here to argue for one idea over the other, but I will offer some commentary.
Okay.
First, it should be noted that these hypotheses are not entirely mutually exclusive. It's feasible that religion at a certain level is advantageous as a playstyle which humans have spec'd into, but that human players' propensity for religious behavior also makes them susceptible to the piggybacking of religious memes. Maybe religious playstyles are both a bug and a feature. With that said, there are a lot of questions to be asked about both of these ideas and their potential overlap. For instance, if religious playstyles did evolve as a benefit to humans, are they still beneficial? Clearly, humans still work together in large groups and need to cooperate to thrive. However, very wealthy and stable servers like Scandinavia are becoming the least religious in the game.
That's crazy.
Is it possible that once a group of human players increase their wealth and education stats high enough, they tend to leave religious playstyles behind as if they're no longer needed?
Well, that place
This begs the question. If religion evolved to help us cooperate in the pre-civilization meta, is it still just as beneficial now that the meta is so different, or does religion still provide a necessary advantage to certain players? Could the meta ever change enough to make religious playstyles totally unnecessary, or even
that's a good
detrimental?
question.
Those who hold fully to the meme hypothesis of religion tend to say that religion is wholly unnecessary to playing through the game successfully. Others who hold fully to the adaptationist view tend to say that religion of some form is necessary to human civilization. What if one didn't just hold to one idea or the other, though? Would it be possible to isolate the beneficial aspects of a religious playstyle, strip away unnecessary or harmful memes, and then practice the result? With enough understanding of the game's mechanics, could we realistically create a religious playstyle which optimizes gameplay for everyone? I'm not sure, but that question makes me wonder if any of the religious playstyles we have today, including those that we tend to see as detrimental to human gameplay, were created by past players with that specific goal in mind.
That's crazy.
Now, if you'd like to dig into these questions yourself, there's some more content that I highly recommend you check out. I'm listening to Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind, read very entertainingly.
Why good people are divided by politics and religion. Hey, that's a crazy book. I ain't gonna lie, that might be something we need to read.
By Jonathan Haidt on Audible right now. It's been recommended to me by atheists and religious people alike. I mean, his points are captivating, so I understand.
Oh, they said, you're still here though, good for you. All right. He said, I'll leave the next one up for longer.
So if you want to listen to The Righteous Mind and learn more about...
Oh, it's a sponsor? Oh, you got me. I thought you liked the book. I thought you liked it. That's great. Hey, look, I need to start endorsing books, bruh.
So when the metal hit his mug, he just sunk in place. 100K Holla, chillin' Bahamas. Come home to your crib and throw in your mama.